What's it like going head-to-head with your old boss, Harley, for a player?
We're about the same height, so it's not that difficult yet. But we've had a brief chat about what it might look like. So yeah, the next maybe a few days will tell us a little bit more. So yeah,
do you feel like early teens pick is fair, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think somewhere in there. I think that's probably his value. I think we've all along always thought that. So, but obviously other mechanisms with what they may end up with, what we may end up with as ourselves. So we'll work through that over the next few days.
Is the Baraz deal going to happen first before you get any further with the Liam deal?
Not necessarily. I mean, there's other things that we can potentially do. We've obviously got some picks in our pick early, and even next year and things like that. So I think everybody's just sort of working out what's on the table at the moment after Friday with the compo picks and where the picks sit in this draft, and then next year as well. So we'll work through that with obviously Hawthorn as well. We've had some chats with them. We'll talk to them a little bit more in the next few days too and see what that looks like.
What's your stance on what is fair for Baraz?
Well, he's contracted player for 3 years, key position player. Tom has his reasons why he wants to move on, and we respect that. So we've had some conversations with him and his management about what that looks like. So at this stage, it's more on Hawthorn to come to us with what they think is fair, and then we'll work from there.
Confident it could be 2 first rounders?
Do you think it's worth 2 first rounders?
What do you think?
Everyone would love 2 first rounders, but I think as I said, he's a contracted player for 3 years, a key position back. So he's really important to us. Andrew's made that clear to us when he came on board only a week or so ago, what he thinks. So, and we'll have more conversation with Hawthorn about what they think. So it's up to them to come to us now and put a fair deal on the table. We're not going to be silly about it, but we want fair compensation for a player of his value.
What has been his involvement, Andrew McLaughlin, since coming into the club? How heavily involved is he in the approach to this trade period?
He and I have been speaking pretty regularly over the last week or so since he's been on board, and he's had a good look at the list. We're in a position where, like a lot of clubs, got some players out of contract as well, so he's wanted to talk to them to see and get a feel for those guys about where they sit, looking at the depth charts of our list and all those types of things. So he's going to back us in. We've obviously done a lot of work prior to him coming on board, but when a new coach comes on board and they want to play a particular style of game and what position and player types he needs to do that, we've been talking constantly about it. So he like the rest of the List Manager team in Belly and Don and Dwayne will be really important to us in the next week.
Does his view of the list align with what your view of the list was prior to him coming in?
I think so. I think we're probably pretty similar, that we've come from an environment, we spend a lot of time together, so we understand how we think the game should look. So we're pretty much on the same page as what we need on our list to actually do that, and we've got a lot of those pieces there already, so he's pretty excited by some of the young guys, and we know that this rejuvenation of the list is going to take a little bit of time, but we think there's some pieces there that can come together pretty quickly.
Do you think the Showbolt and the Fremantle little something have to fall over there for you guys to be involved? It feels like he's headed to
potentially we'll probably have those discussions a little bit more in the next few days. Obviously they're probably a fair way down the track, I would have thought, but that's not to say that we wouldn't have an interest there. I mean, when quality players like that want to move clubs, but he's heavily contracted, so that may take a little bit of time to get done, I think.
And just the potential pick slide from 3, like you're open to, I suppose, all things?
We're open to improving our drafting this year. I think, like most clubs, it might be difficult, but there's top 25 to 30 players in this draft's pretty strong, so we're open to doing a number of things in moving that pick if need be, and adding some other selections in that area, and we're obviously talking to a couple of quality players in a trade and potentially a free agent as well, so we'll wait to see what that looks like.
Do you think Jack Graham's going to come to the West Coast?
Not sure yet. We've obviously got an interest in Jack. We've spoken to him. I think that's pretty public knowledge. He's got to make a decision yet, so hopefully find out sooner rather than later.
Deon Robertson's assessing his options as a previous target for the club. Is he someone you like?
I mean, the club spoke to Devon last year, I think. He's probably looking for an opportunity somewhere, so it'll be open to Brisbane. He's contracted as well, so what that looks like, I'm not sure. So, we'll have discussions about all those guys in the next probably 48, 72 hours.
Any interest in like a Lewis Young and a few more sort of defensive options there?
We've talked about a number of those. Obviously, we're talking through a player that potentially may go out. We may need some depth in that position. So, we've got a number of options that we want to talk through, and whether that's through the trade process or free agents or train-ons and SSP process, there's a number of mechanisms we'll use. It's probably unlikely, I would have thought, for Tom. Yeah.
It just philosophically hitting on players like Ashcroft, nice player, very verbose about that. But what's your philosophy in terms of all that stuff?
as a recruiting manager when I was in that position, and Dwayne's in that position now, we get paid to pick the best players. So if we put in the order and they're in that spot, then we'll bid on them. So I don't think we should deviate from that.
Where's extending Harley Reid on your list of priorities?
We've been discussing with his management group all year on that, and we're pretty comfortable where that sits at the moment. So obviously new coach coming on board and forming a relationship with Andrew will be really important for Harley, and obviously potentially some new players, and we're going to play a slightly different game style as well. So we're pretty comfortable where that's sitting at the moment with Harley. So we'll work through that probably over the pre-season, I would have thought, but without putting too much pressure on.
What's your read on the situation? So that it's going to take, you might just keep put on the back burner for a fair while. It's not going to happen anytime soon, any sort of extension?
Look, his management group and I have been talking constantly, so it's not like we could do it next week. They could come to us and say, yeah, we're happy with that, let's do that, and we might take into the pre-season. We're not in a rush, like he's contracted for 3 years. So we understand the media's involvement and want to get something done. But from our point of view, we just want to make the boy relaxed. He's a 19-year-old kid playing away from home. New coach, new environment. It's going to be really important for us to get through the pre-season, what it looks like from there. So we're open to it, obviously, sooner rather than later, but we'll wait and see. No pressure from us.